to another episode of Polytalks, and today we will be discussing a major spurt of environmental news, which is that Joe Biden, who, keep in mind, is a Democrat and typically in favor of, renewable energy and climate technologies, has approved a 30-year-old oil project, which has been the the focal point for many environmental activists who say that this project should be ended, and they petitioned Biden to do so, and he did not. And today we'll be discussing kind of the politics and reasons why Joe Biden approved this oil project. And so first we'll just start with some context. So this oil project was not new. It's been foreseen by various presidents in the past, but what it is it is an oil project that, would be a major blow to climate efforts. And Joe Biden, in many of his campaign promises, has vowed to end the influence of fossil fuels in transition to renewable energy, and he's done many similar actions in the past. But in this case, Joe Biden is going against many members of his own party and many environmental activists to approve this project. And interestingly enough, some in his own party are being forced to defend this action despite their disapproval, such as Interior Secretary Deb Haaland. She once opposed this project vehemently. She's another Democrat in Biden's administration, but now she's having to defend this, and they are, apologies for that, they're largely using, you know, kind of weasel words or covert language to try and justify this project, like saying it's difficult and complex and such like this. And I think this is actually a very poor decision on Joe Biden's part, because I think, as we'll discuss later, one of the reasons he approved it was to, foster Republican support and kind of and hope to decrease gas prices, which were and inflation due to fuel, which has been obviously a major problem for Joe Biden. But this, frankly, is not the best way of going about it, because he's basically choosing to alienate many on his own party to against him, in the hopes that a few centrists or independents may support him for this. But in reality, I think he's going to get the worst of both worlds. He's going to be criticized for, those centrists and independents for not doing more to, encourage these gas projects and drilling to decrease fuel prices. And then he's also going to be criticized by his own party for approving this environmentally destructive project. And I honestly think that is a worst of both worlds for Joe Biden. I think the best political choice for him would just be to side with one side. And considering he's a Democrat, I think it would make more sense to block this project that he's done with the Keystone XL pipeline extensions. Although, for some inexplicable reason, he has chosen to approve this. But now we will discuss those reasons. And one of them that's being mentioned is that Joe Biden is, of course, trying to keep fuel prices low and decrease, gas prices and the prices of, coal, gas, natural gas, because this is a major problem for Joe Biden, these huge ballooning fuel prices, because voters will see this as his fault. They will view inflation as Joe Biden's doing, and that will harm him come the election. Although, if I had to provide my own counter argument to that, I think that by the time of the 2024 election, I think Republicans, independents, and centrists will not remember this, and I think the impact this has on fuel prices is relatively low for a year and a half in the future. Whereas I think Democrats could remember this from quite some time. because they are of his own party. And when they're thinking about primaries and whether Joe Biden should run again, this may come to the forefront of their mind. Whereas Republicans and independents and centrists will probably see this as a good move from Biden, but they won't see this as a glorious characterization of his anti-environmental policies. They'll just see this as an isolated move, where in contrast with his other negative traits, and I think they will end up supporting the Republican candidate. So, purely politically speaking, I think this is a very poor move from Joe Biden, and I do think it was mainly trying to, you know, attract support for his 2024 campaign. But I think that this will end up doing more harm than good for Joe Biden and provides another example of how he has to walk this fine line between people on the far left and these more independent figures in the center. Although I think so far this he's not been doing an excellent job, and this is a symptom of it. And hopefully he can recompense for this and regain approval amongst the left, which will need to win the 2024 election and even his own party primary, although I think that is extremely likely to go to Biden. But he will need to attract independents in the 2024 election, but I personally don't think this is the way to do it. So thank you everyone for listening to another episode of Polytalks. I will see you in the future. Thank you very much.